What is going on, guys? What is going on, 27 squad? Welcome back in to another video. And listen, this is not New York Giants talk, but this is some serious NFL talk, and we need to talk about Bill O'Brien of the Houston Texans. Now, Bill O'Brien just got the full-time job at GM while also being the head coach, and we know what it's like in the NFL. Only certain amount of guys can multitask in that way and still be successful at the NFL level. You look at Bill Belichick, he pretty much calls all the shots for the Patriots, and he does a pretty damn good job at that, being the head coach, being the GM, all that nature there. But there are very few guys that are able to do that and be successful. You look at Bill O'Brien. You know, he is a decent head coach at best. He's decent. He makes some stupid decisions, but he puts his team in position to make the playoffs at least. There are plenty of other coaches that don't do the same. So Houston Texans are fortunate that he's able to get them there to the playoffs. It just depends on if they can make it through the playoffs. Now, I know the AFC is a tough conference in the playoffs. You got top-tier teams like the Ravens, the Chiefs, now the Titans, the Patriots. A lot of these teams are top-tier Super Bowl favorites, so I get that. But, you know, Houston, I'm going to say Bill O'Brien, has a huge problem with bad play calling. You look at last year with them going on fourth down and fake punting it in a very, very prime situation, you know, letting up, I believe, 28 straight points or even more than that against the Kansas City Chiefs when they had a huge lead on them. You know, stuff like that. Bill O'Brien hasn't been the best head coach, but now he's doing the same shenanigans as a GM. Now, I was cheerleading for Bill O'Brien as the GM because I liked I know it was a very risky, but I liked the trade for Laremy Tunsil. I thought you had to do what you had to do to get yourself a really good tackle, possibly the best in the NFL. Brian Baldinger, who is a former offensive lineman himself, Baldy's breakdowns, he says that Laremy Tunsil is the best offensive tackle in the sport right now. I applauded Bill O'Brien for making those moves. I know it was a lot of picks to give up, for Laremy Tunsil, but you look at the Houston Texans, you know, they're never going to be in that top 10 range to get a top tier offensive tackle. They'll have to trade up anyway for a guy they don't even know is going to work out. At least get Laremy Tunsil, who's proven in the NFL, who has experience. So I liked that. But getting off of that subject, now, I mean, just this year, he has been losing this offseason. Houston Texans have been downgrading this year. You look at the trade with DeAndre Hopkins and David Johnson, that really blew up the NFL and kind of broke the internet, so to speak there. So, you know, you traded DeAndre Hopkins, you got David Johnson, and maybe they're switching their scheme up, being more of a running-oriented team, and kind of possibly, and I'm now making a lot of sense, where you have a running scheme that has a lot of quick throws. And when you get a guy like Brandon Cooks, and we're going to talk about him in a second, I think that's where they're leaning on, more of a college-style offense. You guys know in college, you know, they love running the ball in college. They run the ball way more often in the NFL, in college than in the NFL. And there's a lot of speedy receivers in college. So you look at what Bill O'Brien is doing. He orchestrated that Houston Texans offense to be a Clemson 2.0 offense. But man, I don't know if it's going to work in the NFL. Trading DeAndre Hopkins, who wasn't demanding so much. I think had like $12 million on his, he was making $12 million this year, or $15 million this year. So he ate $3 million in cap. And he gave, you know, they got some picks or whatever, what have you, and they got David Johnson as well, who is a terrible contract. This is a bad contract to have. It's disgusting for an injured running back. But now they're bringing in Brandon Cooks. They traded for Brandon Cooks and for a second-round pick, and I believe another pick as well. But what are you doing, Bill O'Brien? What are you doing? You're giving, I don't even know how much picks they have, man. They're giving away draft pick after draft pick after draft pick. You know, I get the Laremy Tunsil trade. I kind of understand what you're trying to do with the DeAndre Hopkins trade, but this is just way off the rails now. You're picking up Brandon Cooks, who has probably been knocked out more times that he has years of experience in the NFL. Brandon Cooks is getting knocked out every single year. So you could already know he has a lot of head trauma going on. He has a lot of injury issues going on. Now, he is a very good wide receiver in the NFL, very successful, no matter who he's playing for. The Saints, the Patriots, the Rams. You know, he was successful everywhere. But to trade away the best wide receiver in the NFL, and I think that is the case, DeAndre Hopkins is the best wide receiver in the NFL. To trade him away for Brandin Cooks, who's like 5'10", okay, and to have Will Fuller there, who's another injury-prone slot receiver. You got Brandin Cooks, who is an elite injury-prone wide receiver. Will Fuller, who's another decent injury-prone slot wide receiver, and you got a bunch of other guys in there as well. You know, Kiki Cutie, who's another, you know, decent slot wide receiver, smaller guy, speedy. So I don't know what the Houston Texans are trying to do here. They have no height at the receiver position whatsoever. Their tight ends aren't even that good. So I don't know what they're trying to do there. Bill O'Brien, this needs to be talked about, man. Bill O'Brien needs to be fired as the GM and to be fired as the head coach immediately, even after he just got hired as the full-time GM. The Houston Texans front office needs to realize what they're getting themselves into with all these offseason moves. You got Houston Texans fans just scratching their head, not knowing what the type of team they're going to be next year. So, if I'm Houston, if I'm the Texans organization, I'm thinking about just firing Bill O'Brien. If you're going to see what he does next year, that's fine. But you don't want to be wasting Deshaun Watson's prime years. And this is bad on Deshaun Watson as well, man. You're losing his top target for Brandin Cooks. Now, what if they get hurt? What if they get hurt? Kiki Cutie got hurt last year. Will Fuller always gets hurt. You know, Brandin Cooks always gets knocked out. You got 3 of your top 3 wide receivers constantly getting hurt. They're all slot receivers, and they're all under 6 foot. So I don't know what he's trying to do. I don't know what he's trying to do, but I want to know your thoughts in the comment section below, guys. What do you guys think of Bill O'Brien? I think everybody would be in consensus with me in saying that he needs to go. But that being said, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Leave a like if you guys enjoyed. Subscribe if you guys are new, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Woo!